good coaches understand that we all need good coaching.
Your conscious awareness that we are, sentient human beings and we do have choice.
So that's the advantage of a coach or consultant coming in. They can see those things.
Awareness is this beautiful, peaceful, loving undercurrent.
You should help people tell their stories.
That real human connection has never been any more important.
The work is ongoing.
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Tilted Bench. Anybody who's coming in, say hello in the comments as you get here. Let us know that you're here because we can't see it. You can see us. We can't see you. I had since I think not a lot of people are here yet, I can admit this. I had a flub as we started. I hit the wrong button and I started the outro instead of the intro. So sorry about that, Leanne. I did that once before, and I just did the same thing right now that I did the last time. I went to hit stop on the outro, and instead of just hitting stop, I hit the delete button. So I removed it from the studio. So then I had to click play on the intro and then re-upload the outro while I was at it, but we made it.
Wow.
So.
Fantastic. Yeah, great job.
LinkedIn user, that looks like I've got the other screen open too. That looks like Amy K. Hi, Amy. Thanks for joining us. For anybody who doesn't know, this is Tilted Bench. I do this every Wednesday at noon Eastern. This is a show about coaches, about coaching. I talk to coaches, or in today's case, people who work with coaches, about coaching, about what the work is, how it works. I am really happy to have Leanne Kinde with me today. Leanne has a unique perspective because she's not a coach, but a copywriter that works with coaches. Hi, Chantal. Welcome, Leanne. Why don't you kick us off by telling us a little bit about you and what you do?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so as you were saying, I am a writer for coaches. I have 7 years marketing and writing experience, and within the last year and a half or so, I niched down to writing exclusively for coaches. I kind of stumbled backwards into that. I listened to a podcast and just really, really admired one of my now clients, and ended up reaching out to her, loved it, and got into the industry kind of permanently after that.
That's so cool. I didn't know part of this story, but I didn't know that it was a podcast that caused that point of connection.
Yeah. Hey. Yeah.
Did you reach out to her kind of just cold? Just, hey, I love the podcast. Can we talk?
Yeah, a little bit. I know that's a little taboo on LinkedIn, but I promise I did it with so much good intention. I just loved what she was doing. I loved what she was saying on her podcast and stuff. So I said I was a big fan, and I'd love to help her write for her company if she needed it. So, and it worked out, and I'm so thankful it did.
That's awesome. Thank you for being a good example of the fact that can be done the right way. Right? Because, a lot of us are afraid to reach out to folks at all because so many people do it poorly. No hate intended there. Just it's kind of the way it goes. Hey, Paul, thanks for joining us. Glad you made it. So Leanne was just telling us, Paul, about getting into writing for coaches. Now, Leanne, do you currently have specific types of coaches that you particularly like to work for, or kind of any coaches?
So, I love the coaching industry in general. So I am working with an alcohol-free coach. I'm working with a wellness kind of nutritionist, and some career coaches. But I love coaching in general. I feel like oh, thank you, Paul. But I do. I feel like it all comes back to kind of the same thing, to be honest with you. I think people start from an angle like, oh, let me help you cut back on alcohol, or let me help you, you know, cut back on sugar, whatever the case may be. And then it always comes back to like mindset and growth and that personal growth journey. So a lot of coaching, I think, really gets back to that meteor part of it. So I love coaching just in general.
Yeah, me too. I mean, so everybody, Leanne is one of those folks that I reached out to like very early on when I was putting the show together, because I love her perspective. Like, I love the idea that you're writing for coaches, working with coaches exclusively, and that it's something that you do because you care about it. Um, Now, we were talking before, and you were talking about how you're not a coach, but you have recently done a little bit of training on learning to coaches and learning to coach and learning about the certification process for that and going through some of that. What's that journey been like?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started just mentoring and going through the certification process with a client, doing the materials, doing coaching calls and everything like that. And it's awesome to see it from that point of view as well, because I've seen it from the client's perspective, from that point of view, and um, from just how impactful it can really be to hi Susanna, how impactful it can be, and how it can change lives that way. But it's really, really humbling to be in the coach's position, and appreciate um, how just a lot of work goes into it, but it's beautiful. It's really, really beautiful. And I yeah, had someone be very like sweet and humbling, and just say like a coaching call with them, a practice coaching call was just like really, really helpful. And seeing it from that perspective, the coach's perspective, just gives me so much more respect for what they do and everything like that, because it's tough holding space for someone and trying to make sure you say the perfect thing, but that's not what it's about. It's about holding that space for someone and guiding them towards growth. And it just gave me a deeper understanding of the whole process and deeper appreciation for it.
That's a very crisp way of putting it too. Like, I like that you brought it to the holding space thing. Leanne and I were talking right before that episode, everybody, about how there's this difference between coaching and consulting, and that they're not the same thing. When you're consulting, you're in that space and you're very often doing the data gathering. You're trying to get the information you need to then tell somebody what they're supposed to do. But coaching's not that. Coaching is about holding space in a way that allows people to explore, that helps them find the way forward that fits the most with them. Leanne, do you want to start taking us down this road with the title? Like, what role do words play in this? How do words change us, change the world?
Yeah, sure. No, I am so passionate about it. So I do. I feel like people get very in their heads about perhaps sharing their story, or even posting on LinkedIn, or sending an email. And when you get in your head, I almost feel like it's about um, people make it about numbers, or people make it about formulas, people make it about sales. And really, what words do, and why I love writing so much and stuff, is just they really do heal people, they inspire, they connect us, they bring us together. So I really think when you think of it that way, like instead of thinking of like, oh, well, let me sell this person, like how can I help them, how can I inspire them, how can my story move them, like that just takes kind of like that ick factor out of it completely, and just really proves like how powerful words can be. So
There's something that goes on in like sales and marketing in general, right? Where a lot of us are like scared of the ickiness. Like,
yeah.
tell us a little more about like that and the relationship with writing. Like, how do you deal with that?
Yeah, I deal with it by making it as, personally as authentic as I can to me. And that's why I love like the coaching industry. Yes, absolutely. But that's why I love like the coaching industry too, because people are here to help people. They're not here to, in my point of view, make a quick buck or something like that. They care about making a difference, about helping people grow. And your words, how you frame things, can absolutely reflect that. Like, if you have these brand pillars. I have personally, like, I do writing and coaching, but I also have compassion and growth. And I make sure compassion comes through in everything that I say, hopefully. So you get to choose how you tell your story, the words you use to tell your story, and it doesn't have to be icky at all. It doesn't have to be that sales language that sounds like you're being greedy or taking from someone. You can absolutely phrase it in a way that's just true to your experience and what you want. Like, if you want to help people, tell people you want to help them. Like, remember what it's about. It's about helping people. It's about healing, inspiring, like all of those things. Yeah, I would say, like, remember what it's about, and then write from your heart, and then you're good. You know.
I I get a sense, like hearing you talk about that you're a copywriter, but you're working with coaches, and yet in the middle of that, like you kind of have to help them find their voice. It almost
Yeah.
sounds like you might be coaching them a little bit in the process too to help them find those words.
I've actually found that so interesting. So, absolutely, that comes up. Even one of my clients said that, like, during a call, they're like, "You're my coach right now," and I was like, "Yeah, essentially." So, um, basically, not only like you said, we work on messaging and exactly how we're going to say things, but there's a lot of mindset stuff that goes into putting your story out there, to getting that out there. Like, people get a little self-conscious about it. They're afraid of rejection. They're afraid, it just very, very human stuff. So we go through the mindset work as we're talking strategy and everything like that. So it's actually really rewarding and really interesting how even something like sales and marketing, which it's about getting clients, but it's also about your mindset and feeling great about it, and really knowing, like, you're here to make a difference. You're here to help people. And that's what it's about. It's not, you know, it's not this. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say this. It reminds me of the way that Mike Krause talks about like imposterism and how we have to face that stuff. And everybody, I owe Leanne a debt of gratitude. Mike was on the show a month or two ago, and Leanne introduced me to Mike, so it's kind of cool. I feel like we're like full circle here. There, I think it's surprising. I mean, to like lay folk like me, right, who don't know a lot about copywriting, but that within trying to find those words, you would find that folks struggle so much with, I guess,
Oh,
being
yeah.
confident around the language and like knowing themselves well enough and being okay with that to find the right words.
Mhm. I think it comes back to what you said, like imposter syndrome, things like that, fear of rejection, just very human stuff. I had a client come to me and say, like, she wanted to say this, but she didn't want to say it in a way that was like, oh, look at me, like almost like, or from almost like a condescending place, to be like, well, I can help you with this. And you're like kind of, putting her on a pedestal. And it's not about that at all. It's just, and I really, really encourage her, and I encourage other people to think of it this way, is that there are people out there who need your help, who want your help. And the kindest thing you can do is make sure that they know you exist. you know the kindest thing you can do is, put your message out there, put your story out there, and if it's right for someone, they're going to find you. But they're never going to find you if you don't tell your story, if your message isn't out there. So I really think of it as a kindness to express ourselves and to get our story into posts, to email the people, so on your list, etc. I view it as a kindness, really. And yeah, there are people who won't need your help too, but they're not who you're talking to.
Right, right. I mean, so as a copywriter, like part of your job then it sounds like is to be in the process of validating people and encouraging them as you're helping them shape that message to actually push it out there.
Yeah, yeah, I do that all the time. I definitely talk to people and walk them through the process. And yeah, it's definitely like a lot, like you said, it's a lot of mindset work, really, trying to get their heads on straight. That, again, I really do think it's like the greatest act of kindness to help someone and to let them know just that you're there if you need them. And they'll find you if your message is getting out there and stuff like that. So, um, people do. They think they're on a pedestal, they get like afraid of rejection, things like that. And it's just like kind of gently steering people back to the fact that it's a kindness. It really is.
And I appreciate what everybody's saying here in the comments. The importance of, not hiding, like you don't want to reject yourself. And Paul says it's not bragging if it's the truth.
Yep.
And Susanna's always good about reminding us how important it is to watch out for imposter syndrome. And Leanne, it is great. Like I love it too. Like the way that you're lifting people up, because like you and I both have this great, and the audience of the show too, like we all have this respect for coaches and the work and how important it is to use that work to help people move forward. Well, you're now throwing your weight behind that too professionally by helping the coaches help others. Can you tell us a little about like when you're exploring language, when you're looking at words and you're thinking about the way that coaches talk, what's it like kind of getting into their headspace and how they use language?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, that's like part of the reason I genuinely do love the industry and everything, is that it's all very as you said, it's holding that space, it's helping people explore, it's helping people grow. So the language really isn't um when you get in that headspace, you want to make sure to avoid things like, oh, I should, I have to, things like that, like things that really kind of bring people down. So I mean, what I love so much about this industry and about coaching is it's really the language is about what is going to help people realize that they have more possibility, that there's more room to grow and everything like that. So it's all about expansion and like progress and moving forward. And yeah, you want to avoid any of those like shoulds, have tos, things like that that would do the opposite. And
What's it like when you're working with clients in terms of like getting them to do writing versus you kind of shaping things for them? How does that relationship go?
sure. So, I mean, I do a lot of the emails, social media posts, blogs for my clients. So, actually, I do the writing for them, but but we definitely do. We have strategy calls. So we actually go over their voice and how they want to come across to their audience. We go over their story a lot in like a lot of detail and a lot of depth. And in some ways, it's about almost like it feels like acting in a way sometimes, like writing but acting, because like I try to assume their voice, I try to assume exactly who they are. It's about getting their messaging out in their terms and how they would say it, because people want to work with them and we're selling them. So yeah, definitely. And yeah, then as you said, it's just really a pleasure, like you said, because it's taking their message that is usually amazing and great on its own, and then just kind of almost giving it a loudspeaker and helping more and more people hear what they have to say and helping them reach more people. So, and when you're helping people, that feels really good.
Right. And I mean, and in order to do that, like you're using those skills that we very often talk about as coaching skills of like listening and like really getting to know where folks are at. Do you ever find that like there's a struggle with people not knowing themselves well enough to find their own voice, or is that, I mean, is that a challenge? What's that like?
They do say like coaches need coaches, and that's 100% true. So that is absolutely true. One of my clients says like a jar can't read its own label kind of thing. So I absolutely believe that in order to get your messaging out there, to have a really, really strong stance as a coach, like you also have to do that inner work. And as always with everyone, it's a process. So it's not like, oh, you have to be perfect before you start or anything. It's definitely not that. But it is that as you go, keep working on it little by little. Like we can always learn, we can always grow, and there's always more we can do to feel more comfortable in our own skin and stuff like that. So, yes, good coaches need coaches to answer your question.
And when you're yeah, Sam, I love this one too. This is a metaphor that's like super useful in coaching to think about this. And I mean, riffing on that idea, like if a good coach is reflecting things back for folks, helping them see those things that we can't see from the inside, right? Do you find as a copywriter that happens sometimes? I mean, if you're trying to help them, you have to get to know them to be able to reflect their voice, to assume their voice. Is there a part of that process that ends up ever being like revelatory for your clients?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I'm sorry, that also goes back to your old question about their voice. I kind of got a little off track, but yeah, I would definitely say people come to me with like almost like we'll put it that way, like seeds, like little, they'll come to me with ideas. They have a lot going on, but maybe they don't have very much like clarity around them. They're just like word vomiting sometimes on our first few calls where they're just like, here's all my ideas and stuff. And like you said, we have to kind of find that clarity, that path forward, and make it really crisp together. And that's like a pleasure, but it also, like you said, it's not only clarifying the messaging, it's really also, like you said, like kind of clarifying what they want to do moving forward, what they want to do moving forward, what their zone of genius is, how they specifically want to help their clients. So I definitely think there are like revelatory pieces, and I absolutely.
So you're looking at coaching too and thinking about maybe doing some of that on your own, right? And I know you had said that you definitely don't want to leave the copywriting behind. It seems like there's a pretty direct line here between the two, though, right? Like your skill set that you're using in copywriting sounds like it's going to convert pretty easily into coaching.
Yeah, and definitely, I think um, so many of the coaches I work with and stuff too really focus on journaling and things like that. So writing is an amazing tool to get clarity, to help you move forward, to help process emotions. Writing is just such a beautiful tool for all of that. And then as you're coaching, it absolutely translates to that as well. Like you're doing kind of like the same things with your clients. You're trying to help them get clarity, kind of like talk through like sometimes like journaling almost is a way to like process an emotion, and some of the questions you ask as a coach to help people get through or process an emotion, like it's very much what might happen if you free write for a while, if you journal for a while. It's very similar. So
Do you so as a copywriter, do you have, coaches have different kind of diagnostic tools that they'll use sometimes, right? To try and get a feel for their client, help their client get a feel for where they're at. Personality assessments, all sorts of other tools similar to that. As a copywriter, do you have tools that you use to help set that relationship and figure out the things you need to figure out?
yeah. So I definitely go through like an onboarding questionnaire with all my clients, make sure I ask them their why they do what they do, why their ideal client is their ideal client. And I ask them to obviously put all of this in their own words, because it just helps so much to understand like why are you helping who you're helping, and from their perspective why it's so important. So there's definitely an onboarding questionnaire. I have a brand pillars worksheet and stuff like that. I have like kind of idea idea generating worksheet where we can go from the brand pillars and kind of branch off and create a bunch of ideas to like generate that content and to get like the wheels turning and stuff like that. So it's not exactly like personality tests and things like that, but I mean it's definitely brings out some of those deeper values. It gets at the same stuff.
Do you have any like favorite stories of like times when words or a section of copy has been able to affect that level of change, has been able to like really do something,
Yeah, I mean, I hope we've all experienced it, because I'm an avid reader myself. And that's why I love writing so much. But I mean, in my personal life, I've definitely had those moments where I'm reading a book and all of a sudden, like a line just sits with me and makes me think differently about life. And I mean, I don't want to be, I never want to be like conceited or anything like that. But I have gotten feedback on like emails and stuff like from my clients where they said like a line or a particular email and stuff like made them really rethink everything and kind of like have that same like aha moment that I'm talking about from reading a book where um you just think about things differently. And that's what's so beautiful, I think, about writing is it's something you do alone in a room often, but at the same time it's something that can be so personal and like forge such a deep connection with someone just by having them like read a line that you wrote, like can really make them rethink their life, can really make them inspire them to change and everything like that. So, yeah, I've had that happen. Yeah, and a favorite story. I'm trying to think. I think my favorite story. I don't know. It's just yeah, it's different for every single person actually. What line can like change their life, but I love it. But yeah.
But I love that feedback from your client's client, right? That like you would write something that would then make its way there and land in such a way that it changes them a little bit, right? Like part of the
Yeah.
I, I think a lot of what draws many people into coaching is having the opportunity to create these moments within the space where folks have aha moments, right? Where something in your perspective, something within your personal life kind of opens up and you can see things in a new way. So let me throw this question up here real quick from Sam. Speaking of seeing things in new ways, she asks if there's a book that you've read multiple times and had a new aha moment each time. What do you think, Leanne?
That's a really great question. I would say, I mean, definitely, I would say, so I do love any books and I will really, really recommend them, even though like some people haven't heard of him. But I think his most famous book is A Man Called Ov, and his name is Frederick Bachman. He is a fiction writer, actually. But he has a ton of other books. Britt Murray was here, Anxious People, the Beartown series, and stuff like that. They're all just like these beautiful explorations of very human relationships and how like friendships and love and all of that can like really make or break us and just like hardships and it's just like a beautiful he has beautiful writing. So I always get little like new nuggets about life when I'm reading those. I have a 2-year-old now and I was rereading one of his books and he had a line about kind of like putting your hand on your child's back and feeling them breathe at night, and that's something that didn't stand out to me before that stood out to me then. So I mean, I love stuff like that, stuff that like you know I think all parents can relate to that sort of feeling, like putting their hand on their child's back or their abdomen and making sure they're like breathing at night. And honestly, there are little coaching insights, little lines you can infuse in your emails and stuff like that to like really make people be like, oh, I'm ready to change. I'm like ready to kind of do this. And that's beautiful if I have like yeah, just a little nugget that can really inspire someone to take like a baby step, then the coach, as you said, like can work from them from then on and kind of give them some wisdom and keep them going. So it's like this chain reaction really.
Yeah. We are getting down to the end here. Leanne, tell us what is the best way for folks to reach out with you if they want to get in touch?
Yeah. So the best way to reach me is on LinkedIn. Obviously, you can reach me, and I just put out my website as well. So it's singlesparkcoachingcopy.com.
Singlesparkcoachingcopy.com. There you go, everybody. And the final thing that I always do is I'm going to let you have the whole screen. I'll let you give us some final takeaway you want us to hang on to here at the end of the conversation. And then everybody, Leanne and I I'll pop back in and we'll say goodbye after that. Let me turn this off and it's all yours.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So I would say that if you are a coach and there is something on your heart, if there is a story you want to tell, but you do feel a little bit of hesitation around telling it, you feel that fear, please, please tell your story, because there's someone out there who needs to hear it, whose life will change because you told your story. And if you need help telling it, I'm here. But definitely, please, please tell your story, and it will help someone. So that's my little nugget.
Awesome. Thank you, Leanne. Everybody who's been here in the comments with us, thanks for joining us. Leanne, thanks for leaving us on that note. It is a great note to end on. Everybody tell your stories. Hope everybody has a great Wednesday, and we will see you again next week. Thanks, Leanne. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.